Hello everyone. In this particular lecture, we will be learning about arrays, what are arrays, and some basic operations on arrays. We will also understand a bit of memory management of arrays. What are arrays? Array is a continuous memory data set. Does that mean when you create an array, the memory at which that particular array is created, an address is given, and that address is stored inside a variable which we use that to access elements in the array. When we store the data in that array, it is continuously accessible. Uh, there are no fragment gaps or anything in between. Let's understand that with help of an example. In order to declare an array in Java, this is what you have to type array is equal to new type size. Size defines the particular size of the continuous memory data set. To access an element in an array, we use indexes. Indexes start from 0, goes up to array.length minus 1. If the array length is 5, then the indexes in that particular array are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What does type here define? Type defines the particular data at each index. Let's understand that with the help of an example. So let's declare an integer array. Int arr is equal to new int 5. So I created an array of size 5. What is the default value present in an array? Since it is an integer array, that means an integer will be available at every particular index. That means the default value at every location inside the array is 0. Let's visualize it and see. So when you declare an array, how it is created, we will now understand a bit of memory management as well. So the moment I click on visualize execution, it goes inside that particular structure or the class. Inside that, it checks for the static permanently allocated function or method. Here it finds a static method, main method. It goes inside that and runs line number 3. Main method is the entry point of any program. Now, line number 3 will be executed. As mentioned before in the videos, the right side always executed first, and memory is allocated. Then it is being stored in the variable present on the left side. Since a new keyword is mentioned here, that's why here stack and heap, both kind of memories will be utilized. Let's see. What happens is when you create an array, you can see an array has been created in the heap memory at some location. That location is provided some address. Then that address is stored inside that ARR variable. That's why this particular ARR variable is pointing towards an array created at a particular location inside the heap memory. In heap memory, all those data structures and data in which new keyword can be used is created or they are given memory in them. As you can see, 0 dot 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 4. The array's valid indexes start from 0. It ends at 4. If I want to access the length of the array, I can declare a variable L, call it array dot length. The value of L will be 5. This is how you add comments in the code in Java. If you want to fill array with some value, write array name, particular index where you want to fill in the square brackets. And let's say, since it is an integer type value, let's say I fill 100. Array of 1, I fill as 120. Array of 2, I can fill as 130. Array of 3, I can fill as 112. Array of 4, I can fill as 53. Let's see how it works. So the moment I click on visualize execution, it goes inside that class. Inside a class, it checks for the particular main method. Obviously, in the main method, what it does, uh, it will run the first line, line number 3. So an array has been created. You can see the array is created of 5 size. Default value of that array, each index is 4. You can see the default values at every index are 0. The last index is 4. The size of the array is 5, which will be stored in variable n. See, the value of L holding is 5. Now I'm gonna update the indexes. How will I do that? I will use an index to access a particular point and fill it with a value I have written. So what happens? At 0th index, I fill a value 100. At first index, I fill a value 120. At second index, I fill value 130. At third index, I fill value 112. And at fourth index, I fill the value 53. Once it is over, once the main function is over, every variable, every data structure it creates will be also finished. You can see the moment I click on forward, the function is over, line 10 runs, the function over because line 10 is a closing bracket. The moment closing bracket runs, the function is completely over. Once the function is completely over, this particular function which was posed in the call stack will also get out of the call stack. Since due to limitations of the particular visualizer, I cannot show the pop-off of the main function. So this is how array has been allocated values. I can also take inputs in the array if you want to do that. What will you do? First, you need to import scanner. So from the Java library, you import every single utility. And from that, you use scanner to manage an input while running the program. So let's create a scanner. SCN, let's call the name of the scanner as SCN. Since we are creating a new scanner, that means the memory of this particular scanner will be held inside the memory. Now, what I want to do, I can run a loop over this array. I can run a loop over this array. Let's do that. So, run a for. Initialize the index starting from 0. It will go up to 5, which is array.length. So, before that, it will go 4 until 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The moment it becomes 5, since this is less than, the moment value of I becomes 5, it will stop. And I can write I plus this. What I'm doing, at every index, I want an integer value. Array of I should be filled with some random integer value, scn.nextInt. This particular input will be taken when the program runs. So in stdin, I will fill some in. There is a difference between command line and stdin, which we will cover in the next lecture. So what we have to do? We have to provide 5 integers which will be fed to the array in form of a stream, and scanner will scan that data in form of a stream one by one, and fill that in the array. That is why next int is written, because it scans the upcoming input like a queue. It keeps coming, keep coming. The scanner keeps scanning. Okay, so an input came, let's feed it here. Now an input came, let's feed it here. This particular thing happens with help of scanner while running the program. Let's see that. So let's fill values 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. Now this will be feed to the array or the program as a stream of integer, and scanner will help us fill it into the array. Let's visualize that. No suitable constructor found java.util.scanner. I think there is some mistake. Yeah. So inside the scanner, I have to specify what input I have to take. So I will write system.in. So this particular scanner now specifies that, okay, this scanner will be used to manage the input given in stdin. So you can see a scanner has been created. Some object of scanner has been created inside the heap memory. Once that is done, I create an array of size 5. You can see default value on the integer array is pre-filled to 0. Now I will run a loop. Initially the I is 0. I is less than array.length. I is less than 5. Array length is 5. I go to that particular index. Array of I is 0. So array of 0. That will fill the first value, which will be fed to the scanner. It fills 100. Now I increases to 1. I is less than 5. 1 is less than 5. So I will go to array of 1 and fill the value 101. I will increase to 2. I will again check whether 2 is less than 5. It is. So uh, we will go to the second index of the array and fill the value 102 there. I will increase the value from 2 to 3. And now I will again check whether 3 is less than 5. Since 3 is less than 5, I will again go to that particular third index and fill the value 103. Same thing will happen with this index. And once the value of I becomes 5, this condition will not satisfy anymore because I has reached 5. 5 is actually equal to array.length, not it is not less than array.length. So the for loop will simply break. So for loop breaks at line number 8. Now line number 9 will execute. When line number 9 executes, the function is actually over. So main function, which was pushed in the call stack, when the program starts executing, it will be popped out of the call stack, which means that every other variable and function created, every other variable and stuff created by this particular function will be removed. So this is how we can take input in the array. We can also use functions with array. Let's see how we can do that. So what we will do, let's call a function fun. In that I pass an array, this particular array, and public static void fun. Let's change the name of the array. Type will remain same, but name array has been changed. And what I'm going to do, I will just print this particular array. So if you want to take input for a separate function, what you have to do is you can create a scanner here. Let's see how it works. Cannot find symbol ARR, obviously, because the name has been changed to A. So I should actually change this. So you can see, first we create an array of size 5. So it is created inside the heap memory, and that address is stored inside ARR variable, and ARR is pointing towards it. I call a function, void type function. It does not return any value. I pass the array address. Since this particular ARR hold the address of the memory location, this address is passed here, and that address is passed inside and stored inside a variable inside the function. So for the fun function, the address of ARR is being passed in A. You can change the name of the function, variable or anything. You can change the array. So same array can be called as A. The type should be same. So when I'm passing it, whatever it is, whatever address it is, that address is passed on inside the integer A. So you can see in the function as well, when the function fun is pushed, when the function fun is pushed, you can see the A is also pointing towards the same array because same address has been passed into it as well. Now we create a scanner and we take the input. Same thing will happen index by index. It will keep increasing, checking the condition. If it is valid, it goes inside, takes the input, increase the value. Check the condition, goes inside, takes the input, increase the value. Check the condition, goes inside, take the input and increase the value. Once that happens, the function is over. At line number 11, the whole for loop will be over. It reaches line number 10 and the function is also over. Once it reaches line number 12 and the function is over, since it is a void type function, it does not return any value. It will go back to line 5 of the main function. So fun function is terminated. It will be popped out of call stack. It go back to line 5. Line 5 is completely over. Now line 6 of the main function will execute. Main function will also similarly pop out of the call stack. We can take sum of the array. So whatever input you have taken, you can take sum of the array and sum is equal to 0. For int I is equal to 0, I less than a dot length, I plus plus. We can take the sum plus equal to, sum is equal to sum plus array of I, a of I. And we can change the return type of this function. So this particular function expects us to return an integer value. So I can return this sum. Since I return a particular sum, this sum has to be captured somewhere so that I can use it later. So when I return something, somebody else has to capture it. So what kind of value this function is carrying? A integer sum. So that particular value should be captured in some integer array. Not array, integer value basically. So we store the sum of this array inside an integer answer. So this particular fun will be replaced by the sum variable whenever it resolves itself. Now that particular sum will be stored in the answer variable at line number 5 when the overall function is being resolved. Let's see how it works. You can see an array has been created at line number 4. Once the array is created, we call the function. Now, how it works in case of equal to, the right side will run first, it resolves itself, and then that value, whatever it resolves to, will be stored at the variable at left side. Now, let's do that. This function is being called from line number 5. We go to line number 7, and the first line of the function, line number 8, will execute. It creates a scanner. Function has been pushed. Now, line number 8, it creates a scanner, and we run a loop to take the input. I already explained how the loop will run, so I'm fasten a bit. I have moving forward quickly. Now I declare a sum variable inside this function. After that, what I'm doing, I'm reiterating over the whole array, take sum. How it will happen? You can see that. Sum will be updated using the right side. Let me explain again. In an equal to, the right side will run first. So whatever the sum it is, I add a of I in that, and whatever the updated value is will be stored inside the sum variable again. So basically, from the right side, we do the updation and restore the value inside the same variable again. Let's see how it happens. Right now, my sum is 0. It gets updated. You can see. So a of 0 is 100. Sum becomes 100 on the right side, and then that 100 is stored inside some variable again. Because, but as I said, right side resolves itself. Whatever it resolves to, that particular thing is being stored on the variable of the left side. Index is increased to 1. Now, my sum is 100. 100 plus 101. Right side will run first. 100 plus 101 will be 201. So right side resolve itself to 201, and then that 201 is again stored in the sum. So this particular 100 will now get replaced with 201. You can see. Now my I increases to 2. The sum will be total 303. Now 201 plus 102 will be equal to 303. So the right side resolves itself. Now that 303 get restored again in the sum variable. It keeps on happening and sum keeps getting updated. In the end, I return the sum variable. So 510 is returned. Now this fun will resolve itself to 510. And that 510 is stored in answer variable at line number 5. It returns from line number 16. Line number 16 of fun function returns back to line number 5 of the main function, and fun function is popped out. That means all the variables and data structures created by this function will also pop. So now answer will store 510, and we can do anything about it. This is the memory management of arrays along with basic function. How do we get length? How do we take input? And how do we do some operations on array? That's it in this video. See you guys in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.